I'm doing it again.
That's fucking stupid.
Race swapping superheroes shouldn't matter as much as it does, but yet and still, every time it happens, we have the same conversation.
Blackwashing, 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 blackwashing instead of turning white. What's diversity? What's diversity? Mob, woke.
Please shut the fuck up. Please! I guess one of the main arguments that people have against race swapping superheroes is, hey, instead of making white characters minorities, why don't you make your own black and brown characters instead? Which I guess is a pretty fair argument, but one, you can do both, and two, even when there are unique black and brown characters, you guys still have a problem with it. We didn't forget how mad you guys got at that Star Wars actress. No, not that one, the other one. Yeah, that one. So if a pre-existing character is race swapped, it's cringe and forced diversity. But if there's an original character meant to represent a certain minority group, it's still cringe and forced diversity? How? When the character is unoriginal and black, you hate it. But when the character is original and black, you still hate it? This is supposed to make me believe you're not racist. How? I'm gonna propose something crazy. You ready for it? The fans are never right. They don't know what they want, and if ever given a chance to work on their favorite properties, no doubt they would make the worst shit yet created. Now obviously there are exceptions to this rule, but I'm talking about your average complain on Twitter all day fan who swears that if they were given a chance to write for their favorite property, that it would then return to its former glory. I hate these people. Just ignore them and do what you want as a creative. Sometimes in the heads of certain creators, they just imagine this pre-established character as this race or this sexuality instead, and they don't think this way because they want to boost sales in certain demographics. That's what the company who own these properties are thinking, sure, but the creators themselves make these decisions because, for lack of a better word, it just feels right to them. It just makes sense. And most likely other times the actor or actress just fits the role regardless of race. And unless the character's race is a part of their character, literally who cares? Red Skull couldn't be anything but a white German guy because he's literally a Nazi from the fucking 40s. Magneto couldn't be anything but a white Jewish guy, neither could Kitty Pryde or Ben Grimm, so on and so forth. But when a character is like Johnny Storm, Wally West, Black Canary, or fucking Annie, characters whose race is irrelevant to almost every story they've been featured in, why is it a problem when people change the race of those characters? Is it because they're white? It's because they're white, aren't they? Guys, I promise you, you will never run out of white characters. The few that have race swapped are a fraction of a fraction, and those that haven't are still very white. Is this more of that victim complex bullshit that's really popular right now? Like 5 white characters are now not white, and within 10 years, every character that was once white will be black, and there will be no Aryans left? Hey, wait a minute. Are you guys sure this isn't just a great replacement theory, but this time it's happening to fictional white people instead of real white people? You know, I'm having a very hard time believing you guys aren't racist. What if the shoe was on the other foot? What if we made a bunch of black characters white? Ew! It'd be the same, right? Wrong. If we were to take all the minority characters in Western media and compare them to the amount of white characters in Western media, the darkies would have less than the whiteys, let's just say that. Not only would a small fraction of Western characters be minorities, but I'd be willing to bet over half of those characters are just supporting characters for the white main lead. Yeah, in a country like America, where like 40% of the country isn't white, 80% of the characters in American media are just a bunch of whiteys. And people like me aren't saying that there should be less white characters, just more non-white ones. And one of the ways people do that is by making white characters not white. It's not a slight against white people, it's just a creative means to an end. But that is you wanting less white characters, I hear you saying. Well, no, usually when a character is race swapped, it's just from one specific adaptation. Unless it's like a Nick Fury situation, the character from the source material is still as white as Wonder Bread. And these are superheroes we're talking about. You really think that in the vast multiverse of Marvel or DC that there isn't one version of Hawkeye who's like fucking Asian? Really? Another reason that people will say that this is a bad idea is that these race swapped characters are always worse than the original, which incidentally implies that the non-white versions of these characters are worse, but whatever. But also that just isn't always the case at all. The reason that no one liked Michael B. Jordan as Johnny Storm was because the writing in that movie made his character insufferable, not because a black guy just so happened to be the one playing him. On the flip side, you have the black version of Starfire from that Teen Titans show that I don't watch. The creator of Starfire himself himself is constantly praising this version of the character on Twitter and seems to be genuinely happy with the actress's performance. So surprise, surprise, the quality of these characters is more so based on the writing and acting and not the fucking race that the character just so happens to be. Who would have thought? Me! But like I said before, people will still have a problem even if the minority character is completely original. For example, all of these black and brown legacy characters that Marvel started pumping out all at once in the early 2010s really boiled people's blood. Even though characters like Kamala Khan and Miles Morales aren't just minority variants of Carol Danvers and Peter Parker. Well, at least Kamala wasn't. Fucking Miles. Matter of fact, excuse me, can we talk about Miles Morales for a second?
Skinny boy, where your muscles at? You can walk the boy.
For the first 7 years of his existence, he was just Black Peter Parker, which is fucking insulting because the point of having a non-Peter Parker character take over as Spider-Man was to see how differently they would approach the mantle, but instead he's just Diet Peter Parker. What the fuck, Brian? If you wanted to make a Black Peter Parker, then just make one. Don't say you're making a new minority character and then just make a worse version of a white one. But luckily for us virgins, Spider-Verse came along, and it actually gave Miles his own personality. Thank God. Anyway, the point I've been hammering home this entire video is just that when it comes to race swapping characters, or God forbid, adding minority characters in media at all, you run into this bullshit catch-22 with parts of the fan base. But the best thing you can do is to not care and do what you want as an artist. And remember, the fans are never right. Thank you. Please like and subscribe. Goodbye.